The stimulus bill. So this has been a laugh because this has been a long time coming, obviously, but it finally got proposed. You can see here the CNN reporting it as a $900 billion COVID relief bill.
Bloody hell.
So they were fighting about this, but they finally agreed on a framework for it, and they were going to have a vote on it. But it's not $900 million. This is only the first part, and then the second part got added, and it's totaled up to $2.3 trillion because, of course, they then thrown in the government spending for the following year. So it's a huge, huge bill. I imagine it's probably the biggest in U.S. history, single spending.
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, I think World War II, maybe, proportionally, but anyway.
Yeah.
So there's a few things in here that everyone's been talking about. So the first one is obviously the $600 that every American is going to get.
Wow.
Great. Like, okay. Not a big deal. I mean, nice, obviously, because, I mean, they don't have furlough, they don't have the backups that our government's done, but...
No, is this nice? I mean, is it
I'm
good?
not saying it's nice or good. I'm just saying it's not a massive deal after... When was the last one? $1,000 months ago?
1,200 months ago, yeah.
Oh, man. But there's also some aid in there for businesses, some expansion of unemployment benefits, so people have been laid off in the restaurant industry can get things. But there's a lot of pork, and the pork is what I wanted to get into, because it's hilarious.
Right, so for anyone who's not familiar, this is what the Americans would call pork barrel politics, where a necessary bill is presented, and then a bunch of people add a bunch of special interest to it that inflates the price or whatever it is, the scope of the bill, beyond reason, and is understandably objectionable.
It's also a good way of getting things that people wouldn't vote for to get voted on and get passed. And the first example we have on the next one is for streamers. So if you are a streamer in the US, this applies to you. We're not haram because we're in the UK.
Yep.
But the bill wanted to make it illegal for streaming copyrighted material. And the way it's written is terrible. And the reason the Hollywood Reporter has been making a big deal about this, rightfully, is because you can be facing a jail sentence for streaming copyrighted material.
So if you're streaming an entire movie, I presume?
So this is what the guy was based, the Republican, I think he's a congressman, not a senator, proposed this. Fact check me on that one. But his idea was we'll go after people streaming movies, because this has been a huge problem since the start of the internet.
Sure.
So, but the way he's worded the bill, I want to get the just some wording from the bill. I've only got a quote here for you. So, it shall be unlawful for a person to willingly and for purposes of commercial advantage or private financial gain offer or promote to the public a digital transmission service that is primarily designed or provided for the purpose of publicly performing works protected under Title 17 of blah, 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 copyright, unless you don't have the quotation from the copyright owner to do it.
Yeah.
And this is starting with fines up to 3 years in jail, and if you repeatedly do this, then it goes up to 10 years in jail for breaking this. So you can see how that going at a website that's just streaming movies endlessly might make sense.
Sure.
Pretty strict, but...
And there are lots of websites that illegally host movies that you can stream.
Yeah.
So,
but that's obviously quite a broad way of looking at it. Anyone who's providing an online service, well, every Twitch streamer is doing this.
Yeah.
And there's the kicker. If someone sends you a video and you play it and it's got copyrighted music, you're infringing the law. Like, the only defense you have is that, well, I didn't mean to because they sent me it. So they're saying they're going to try and edit it so it's not like that, but it's already passed. So would you want to... like, it's a bit late for that.
oh dear.
So the next one is just AOC complaining about this, and it's an amazing thing that's happened. The right and the left ultimately agree. This is bad. So this is AOC talking about the bill. They got the bill. It's over 5,000 pages. Arrived at 2 p.m. and they've got 2 hours to read it and then vote on it. Not going to happen.
I mean, based AOC, but this isn't a new complaint either. This was, I remember these arguments happening during George Bush's tenure. When it came to all of the stuff that they wanted to pass for the Iraq War and the response to the 9/11. Like, I remember all of these discussions happening then, and it's exactly the same discussion that's happening now. Okay, good on her for saying something
here's
good.
the Patriot Act. You've got an hour.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous.
But the interesting thing is, of course, the fact that people are supporting each other. So Candace Owens retweeted this in complete support, saying, I 100% agree with AOC on this one. This isn't a stimulus bill. This is a heist. Wealthy people are stealing tax dollars under the guise of COVID-19 release. I implore AOC and her colleagues to ask why the Smithsonian and Kennedy Center need over $1 billion of our money.
Well, that's a great question.
So they're publicly funded, or at least I think they're publicly subsidized museums and whatnot. But that's not the worst of it. The worst of it is yet to come. So the big headline out of this for a lot of people was the foreign aid that got attached to it.
Oh.
And the big one was $500 million for Israel, which ruffled a few jimmies. But that's not the only foreign aid in there.
Why does Israel need $500 million, though?
So we'll clarify that in a minute. So they also, in there where he's reading, you can read that it's $2 billion for the Air Force, $4 billion for the Navy, and $2 billion for the Space Force, which is something I have a particular interest in, but I'll keep my bias to myself. So, bad timing. Like, you don't want to be giving out $600 to your citizens, and at the same time spending billions and billions of dollars on foreign aid and military spending. It's not a good look.
No, that's a bad move.
Very bad look. So the next one from Candace Owens is just listing some of the other foreign spending and domestic spending here. So if you scroll down, so the foreign countries.
Egypt gets is that $1 billion? 1.3 billion to Egypt?
I think that might be a typo.
Oh, no,
1.3 billion. Yeah, that is correct.
$700 million for Sudan. $453 million to Ukraine, $500 million to Israel, $130 million to Nepal, $135 million to Burma, $85 million to Cambodia, $25 million to Pakistan. Then Asia RIA gets $1.4 billion. I don't even know what Asia RIA is.
That's, I think, the Asia regional.
Right, okay.
So. And then American citizens, $600.
Yeah.
600 buckaroos.
But that is buckaroos per citizen, isn't it?
Yeah, so when you add that up, I think you get like $200 billion. Right. But when this whole thing's $2.3 trillion. It's...
That's wild.
But why are you giving them money? So the obvious complaint was people saying this is attached to the COVID relief bill. Like, I didn't know our lockdowns harmed Pakistan's economy, but...
Why does Ukraine need nearly $500 million? Why does Sudan? Why did Egypt get $1.3 billion?
So
what is going on?
The argument here is it's foreign aid, and foreign aid has been a long-standing thing where people spend stupid amounts of money, and the defense of this was given by one guy on the next tweet, trying to defend the $500 million for... I know this is a meme. This is essentially the response from Twitter, which is, here's a bunch of money for everyone, but you get $600. Yeah. Which it's a good meme by Shu, so I thought I'd put it in.
It is a good meme by Shu.
Sorry, so the next one is the defense. Yeah. So the defense of $500 million for Israel. So the defense here was that it's for military spending. So this is for the Iron Dome system,
right?
Presumably to defend Israel from Palestinian rockets that get fired. And why does that matter? Sorry, why does the American public have to pay for the Iron Dome system for Israel?
I mean, it's still $500 million of American money going to Israel.
Which, in normal years, maybe you could make an argument for. I'm not an expert on foreign policy, but in the middle of a global pandemic and depression, why are we giving out $500 million to Israel to build the Iron Dome system?
That's a great question, and I thought it had already been built.
I think they already have the system. I assumed it's just advancement.
I mean, I've seen videos of it in action.
Yeah, but it's not
shooting down Palestinian rockets.
It's not perfect enough, I guess.
Oh, I guess so. Jeez, okay.
But of course, this rustled jimmies because a lot of people who don't like Israel were upset about it. But,
sure. The left were very upset about all this.
Yeah, excluded from Candace Owens' list was actually $250 million for Palestine, which is the next link. So they're just it's foreign aid spending. But,
right. Okay.
But why?
Why all of this money and why now?
Yeah, of all the times to do it. I don't know who's supporting this. But one of the sneaky things is, of course, you've got the shutting down of streamers, which is bad. I can't think of a single person except boomer Republican congressman.
Yeah. Who's in favour of that, apart from people who've been lobbied by Disney? Yeah, exactly.
Foreign aid spending, which a lot of this doesn't make sense. Like, a lot of it doesn't make sense. There's a reason we've cut our budget.
It's clearly that lobbyists have been like, here's a good opportunity to get my boss tens of millions of dollars, so go.
Let's sandwich our stuff onto the COVID relief. Who's going to vote against that?
Yeah, exactly. This is an impenetrable bill that can't be challenged.
Yeah.
Even though AOC and Candace Owens seem to be like, this is awful. So, everyone agrees.
Rashida Tlaib is also in agreement that this is terrible. And, what is it? Not Ron Paul. What is it? Rand Paul.
Rand Paul.
There we go. Sorry, his son's name.
So for people who are skeptical of and not even people who are skeptical of big government, that's not the right way. People who position themselves as populists are concerned about this against what I guess we call the deep state or something like this.
So one of the funnier parts of this was something that Hill found out, which I think they found out a bit too late because it had already passed by now. But the next one here, if you can put it up, John. was the funding for the wall is in there.
Oh, is it?
So the Trump
That's
wall,
interesting.
$1.4 billion is in there.
So the Great Wall of Trump is going to be built.
So Trump had initially asked for $2 billion ages ago for the wall, but he's now got 1.4 billion in there, just as he's presumably on the way out if they're getting rid of him.
Yeah.
Which is great, and I just love how the Democrats will vote for this.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So the next link is just showing that they passed it, and this of course brings into question why did it end up like this? A lot of this is just American politics being bad.
Yeah.
But this is actually the fault of the Democrats, and we can square it at the Democrats.
What a shock!
Because you'll remember a while back Trump tweeting out that he would give them, give the American people $1,200 cash each.
Yep.
If the Democrats would propose it.
Yep.
And he made a big deal about this on his Twitter account, tweeting out that if I am sent a standalone bill for stimulus checks (open brackets $1,200), they will go out to our great people immediately.
Now that's not an unreasonable thing to request. A standalone bill, not filled with loads of special interests, that's just for the stimulus checks. He'll sign that immediately.
Yeah.
I believe him too.
And of course the Democrats didn't do this. They blocked it because
that would help people.
That's one interpretation. So the argument they would give is that, this was just Trump buying votes, and it's but that's the
You've been demanding
Hang
this.
on. That doesn't make any sense. The government shut people down, and now the government's trying to remedy that by giving them some of their tax.
Well, the state
back.
government shut people down. The federal government is trying to bail people out.
Yeah, that's not buying votes. That's actually just
well, that's following the left-wing agenda. They've been demanding that money must be given to people because of these shutdowns. It's well, you don't have to shut down. No, we do. So, okay, well, Trump will sign it if it's just that thing. No, not at all. That's terrible.
You can't do this. But even if you're a libertarian, you could see this as a tax rebate.
We need to give 1.3 billion to Egypt for some reason.
Egypt needs this money more than you.
If I can't give $700 million to Sudan, then nothing. No one deserves anything. Anyway, yeah.
You can see him tagging all the Democrats there,
yeah.
Especially Speaker Pelosi, who I want to mention.
Their notifications must have just been awful after that.
It's I will literally give everyone in the country $1,200 if you vote for it, and they didn't. So, and this is the nonsense of it. We can't have Trump get votes, and it's but what? That means that
by doing what you want. Okay.
Literally anything the government does is them buying votes by that means.
Yeah.
So if Trump gets elected on Build the Wall, then he proposes building the wall. We can't let him win votes.
Yeah.
What?
But that just goes to show it's not about helping people either. What it's about is trying to get your opposition out of power. But really, you should be more concerned about representing and helping your constituents because you are an elected politician, after all.
Yeah. So a lot of people were annoyed with the second bill passing. Why is it only 600?
Yeah.
And as the Daily Wire reports, she couldn't answer. They asked Nancy Pelosi on CNN to answer some questions about this, and nada. She had nothing, no defense. And it ended up turning into a bit of a cat fight. So I wanted to play the video of the cat fight because it's pretty funny.
Tax credit in their proposal either. But let's not go into that. You evidently do not respect the chairman of the committees who wrote these bills.
I respect
and
all of you.
I wish you would respect the knowledge that goes into getting meeting the needs of the American people. But again, you've been on a jag defending the administration all this time with no knowledge of the difference between our two bills. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to say that to you in person.
All right, Madam Speaker, these are incredibly difficult times right now, and we'll leave it on that note. Thank you so much for joining us.
We'll leave it on the vote that you are not right on this, Wolf, and I hate to say that to you. But I feel confident about it, and I feel confident about my colleagues, and I feel confidence in my chairs.
And it's not about me. It's about millions of Americans who can't put food on the table, who can't pay the rent,
and we represent them. And we represent them.
Getting
and
by
we represent
these
them.
long food
and
lines
we represent
that we're seeing.
them.
I know
we
you
know
are.
Them.
I'm just saying.
We represent them, and we know them.
As we say,
know them. We represent them.
Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, as they say.
It is nowhere near perfect.
Madam Speaker.
Always the case, but we're not even close to the good.
All right, let's see what happens, because every day is critically, critically important. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for your sensitivity to our constituents' needs.
I am sensitive to them because I see them on the street begging for food, begging for money. Madam Speaker, thank you so much.
Have you fed them? We feed them. We feed them.
We'll continue this conversation down the road for sure. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Had a meltdown.
Yeah.
Absolute meltdown. My God. Okay. So Yes, Nancy. It's important that everyone gets $600, and it's important that Egypt gets 1.3 billion.
Yeah, she had no defense, and there is no defending this. So the bill has now been passed, which is fine, and it's up to Trump whether or not he wants to veto it. So the populist leftists and the populist rightists are desperately asking him to veto it. But of course, the problem there is it's got the wall funding. So,
but the right thing to do would be to veto it.
The right thing maybe would be to veto it.
Yeah.
Trump hasn't said anything himself. Apparently, a White House source has hinted that they will pass it. But that's the stimulus bill, guys. That's your 600 buckaroos and what it's cost you in reality.